everyone, welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Sarah Dawn. I make videos mostly on ADHD and also just aspects of my life that I feel like sharing. Recently, last month basically, I turned 30 years old. It's still very new to me and I feel almost like now I need to be this responsible adult or something. But really it's not a lot different, but also I feel very, very different to what I did, say, even in my mid-20s and before that. I have grown so much as a person. It almost feels like I have wasted so many years feeling ill and having, basically having a very chaotic mind with my ADHD. And it was only towards my mid to late 20s I discovered that I had food intolerances, so I was getting a lot of issues with my stomach, with my bladder, a lot of fatigue, a lot of brain fog, exhaustion, things like this, which some of that could have been a little bit to do with my ADHD, but also I found out that I had some food intolerance to things like gluten and a few other foods basically. And I really had to take my health into my own hands because the doctor was treating these issues as if they were really separate entities, when really I needed to be treated more holistically, as like this was an entire thing, like everything's connected in some way. And I feel like my mental health issues were a lot worse because of my food intolerance issues. And I've heard people throw about terms like leaky gut syndrome, and perhaps that's what I have, I don't know, but but the doctors have never really said anything to me like this, and in the UK that term's not really used. It's more of an American thing, so I hear. But I would say that giving up those foods was very life-changing to me. And also finding out that I had ADHD was a very extremely life-changing for me. And to go from somebody who was suffering mentally and physically like every day to somebody who just isn't in that place anymore, I don't take that for granted anymore. I feel very, very lucky that I actually was able to heal or treat these things. And I, always spread a very positive message around ADHD medication because it really did change my life. And obviously it's a very personal choice if you want to take that or not. And I don't shame anybody based on their own personal decision. But for me personally, if I hadn't taken that first step and been like, and spoke to my psychiatrist, then I wouldn't be where I am today doing what I'm doing, sharing things that have helped me, that's able to help other people. So that's really, really great. I've had to do a lot of healing, I say like that, because of my experiences as a teenager in secondary school. I didn't have the best experience. And there's several reasons for this, but I think the main one is that I did struggle socially with people. And I had a lot of beliefs in my head that just weren't true. And I became a very self-conscious person at secondary school. When I joined school, I realised that I was surrounded by all these people who already kind of knew each other, whereas from my school there was only one other girl from my class who went to the, it was a grammar school, which is like in the UK you have to pass like a 11 plus test to get in. I think they still have them. There's a lot of controversy around them anyway, but basically, I didn't really know that many people and I didn't feel like I fitted in with the people in my class. And so I started to form all these beliefs that I wasn't good enough. And at the same time, like my parents were going through a divorce, my mum started dating, and it was quite a difficult time for me. And I have a lot of almost trauma from that kind of experience. I didn't realise how much it would affect me in my years to come. Not just my high school experience, but my home life and things like that. And, it's taken me a long time to sort of reflect on those in a different way and to rid myself of the belief that I'm not good enough or that I'm just not a likeable person and just things like this, that I don't deserve certain things in life. Just basically, that I'm not good enough. And I was very shy as a child, and as a teenager, if anything, my shyness just got worse and I developed social anxiety. And in many ways I became somewhat of a people pleaser, and I tried to be someone who I wasn't, just to get people to tolerate me, because I didn't think people tolerated me, even though I'm pretty sure it was just because I was really shy and didn't really talk to that many people, that I just thought that everybody else didn't like me. And it sounds really like, I don't know, it doesn't sound silly, but it sounds really like immature in some ways, because I couldn't see that in that rational way of that's what was happening to me and that's where my beliefs were coming from. You know, I had a lot of thoughts around, you know, I don't choose to be the person that I am, especially on the inside. I'm not choosing to be this person. It's just kind of happening. I didn't choose to be born, which is probably, you know, not a very kind and pleasant thought to think about yourself, but not, you know, I used to hold these things against me in some ways, and I try so hard not to be selfish in any way, unkind in any way. I didn't want to say the wrong thing and someone would take that in the wrong way. And I've definitely learned that you can still be a good person and respect your own needs and yourself, but you've really got to accept who you are first. I used to have so little confidence in myself. You know, I was struggling with ADHD and I felt very different to people because of that, and I didn't know why that was. I never even considered it was due to ADHD, but over the last year or so, especially since, you know, the whole pandemic's been happening, I've been able to let go of a lot of the anger and resentment that I felt towards myself and who I am, and been able to accept myself more as a person and just not care so much about what people think. I heard this quote possibly last year, but anyway, it really struck a chord within me, and it is by Carl Jung, the psychiatrist. I'd rather be whole than good, and it really hit something in me, and I knew this because it was really something that I thought about often. And I think some people take it as in don't be good, and be yourself even if it's not good, like go around killing people if you're a serial killer, kind of, almost like, I know that's an extreme example, but almost something like that. Well, I always knew that that wasn't what that quote meant, and you know, I realized that it meant something to me because I was always holding myself back from being whole, from accepting myself, from allowing other people to see the real me and stuff like that, because I thought that in order to, you know, that I wouldn't be a good person, that I wouldn't be deserving if I wasn't like that. And yet I saw other people being themselves, respecting themselves, having boundaries and things like this, and I didn't feel any kind of resentment towards them. It was all like the anger and resentment I felt was always towards myself. It's almost like throughout my 20s I was still a child in many ways, and I know that I'm far from perfect, but it doesn't mean that I need to keep pretending to be this perfect person. Hang on a second. That's better. And I think you can still be yourself and have your own opinions, say no to people, and, you know, not be a dick, basically. It's almost like I've come to the realization that there is no point in people pleasing. Like, I see, you know, a certain amount of people pleasing is definitely okay, and you know, I have read How to Win Friends and Influence People, not because I wanted loads of friends or anything, just because I wanted to improve my people skills, basically. And, you know, it's a lot to do with still saying things in a nice way. You don't have to say things in a nasty way. If you have the opposite opinion, you can, like, be very understanding of that person, but then express your opinion afterwards. And, you know, that's just a part of a healthy, normal adult conversation. And, you know, for around certain people, I would hold back saying certain things, but now I'm more willing to share my own opinion. And I feel like in some ways it does matter, and people don't treat me any differently because of that. There's also this book called No More Mr. Nice Guy, and it's something that I've read, and I know I'm female, and this book was written by a guy, but I think in some ways, if you are a people pleaser, this book is like for anybody who struggles with people pleasing. I think ultimately people will judge you for who you are and what you do anyway. So what do you want to be judged for? Who you are or who you are pretending to be. I know which one I would ultimately choose. It's not like you have to share everything. You can keep things private in your life. I've also worked on my confidence by working on my self-esteem basically, by recognizing my own strengths and really hyping them up in a way so that every day, if I'm feeling not as confident as the day before, I can remind myself about what I do have to offer to the world, and the things that make me me and that make me deserving and worthy person. And I think personality typology has really helped me with this. You guys know that I found out that I was an INTP this year after thinking that I was a different personality type, and everything's kind of integrated, if that makes sense, and I've realised that this is my type, and that's helped me not put me in a box, but it's helped me like recognise my strengths and weaknesses a lot. And it's helped me learn more about how I can develop as a person and how I can work on those weaknesses, but also strengthen the strengths even more, so I become even more confident person. There's one last thing that I want to mention, and that is with a website that I've been using very regularly, and it's a free resource, and you know, it's very great for people who have social anxiety, any kind of anxiety or panic attacks or anything like that. I think it's even got some depression resources on there as well, and self-esteem and things like that, but the specifically the social anxiety audios are what I've been using. There's articles and audios on there, and if you regularly listen to them, they start to make sense to you. Actually, initially they make sense to me straight away, and what I realised is that, you know, I can't just assume what people are thinking, so I've taken a point of it to, whenever I think someone's thinking something, think that's a possibility, but I actually have very little evidence to support that. I don't know what this person's thinking, and I'll actively think in my mind, I don't really know what this person's thinking about me. And a lot of my self-consciousness was from me assuming what other people were thinking about me based on how critical I am of myself. And that's what it comes down to, really. You know, I have come a long way, and medications help me a lot. And if you have anxiety, or if you have ADHD, or if you are depressed, don't just rule out medication. Obviously do what's right for you, but don't just rule out medication. It can be extremely life-changing. And I think back now, and I think about when I first got diagnosed, and I was just like, I'm not going to take medication, I don't want to do it. And I think back now that I took that chance, and it's been a very positive one, and I don't see how I could have grown so much as a person without that now, and how I could just not suffer the way I did. And now I don't know how I lived like that at all. I have no clue. Yeah, it was such a struggle. And yeah, I'm ready for this like new phase of my life, to see where it's going to take me, you know. I have a new job. I'm starting next week. I'm a little anxious about leaving and starting a new job. It's only natural. But those sort of things before would put me off from changing careers. But, you know, I'm really looking forward to see how this will benefit my life. You know, working 5 days a week, being able to not be exhausted basically every single day from doing 12-hour shifts is going to be really impactful on my life. You know, it's going to have an impact on a variety of ways in my life, and I'm looking forward to seeing that happen for me. And you know, I feel almost like sometimes I look back and I think like at least the whole of my 20s, it feels almost in some ways like a waste, because I was just feeling physically and mentally ill a lot of the time and really struggling and suffering. But since figuring out like these are the two biggest issues that are in my life, ADHD and around that, I guess, like social anxiety and things like that, and then also my health issues, my physical health issues. And since kind of fixing them in a way, I guess, or making them a lot easier to deal with, has been life-changing. Like, I cannot imagine what some people go through that's worse than this, but feeling unwell mentally and physically a lot is really tiring. I know how difficult it is, especially when people don't realise you don't want to talk about it all the time, you know. I didn't really tell many people how I felt. A lot of people didn't realise that I had health issues even, or ADHD, and you know, I've just come such a long way, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what the future holds for me now. And I think being 30 is a really good thing for me because of that. I'm very aware that life is a personal growth journey, and you know, I want to focus on that as much as I can. And yeah, so I guess with all these new changes, it's me stepping out of my comfort zone. Even though 12-hour shifts aren't comfortable, they're all I've known for a long period of time, you know. I'm looking forward to seeing the positive effects this is going to have on my life, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for me. So I just want to thank everybody again for following me, following my journey. I've been posting videos for quite a few years, but I've taken a lot of the videos I made down in the past, for personal reasons mostly. But I'm very happy with the content that I've been producing recently, and it seems to be getting a positive response. And yeah, I guess I like to share my experiences to help other people, mostly, and hopefully I'm doing that. So any comments, any thoughts on this video, let me know down below, and I will see you again very soon.